Hi guys, it's Ray Newland here, the founder of Just for Keepers, sometimes called J4K. Now this is the Ask Ray Newland video series. So what these videos are all about, if this is the first time you've come through, I do many videos. You'll see all the links below to the videos, and I will help goalkeepers and parents of goalkeepers and goalkeeping coaches with their burning goalkeeping questions. Okay, so if you've got a question that you'd like answered, first of all, please go to the link below to make sure that's not already been answered, and if it's not, drop me an email, again, details below, and I'll happily answer your burning goalkeeping question. Now this question here today is a really good question actually. I've been asked a few times this question, and this is from a guy called Steve Bolas. Steve, I'm not too sure if I've mentioned your second name correctly. It's B-O-L-A-S, so Steve Bolas, so I do apologise if I've not mentioned it correctly. Now the question Steve asked is right, what is your view on goalkeeping gloves for artificial turf? And he goes on to say, the gloves I have bought for my son always get chewed up when he plays on turf. Now before I answer that question about my choice of goalkeeping glove on artificial grass, artificial turf, you've got to make sure, are you for your son, or is your son making sure that he dampens his palms before he plays? Okay, it's really important. Okay, can't stress enough, especially on artificial turf. Before you play every game, you should not only dampen your palm before the game, you should keep your palm damp while the game's going. At half time, again, dampen your palm, because if you don't dampen your palm, I will assure you your gloves will disintegrate. Now other glove companies won't tell you this because they want your gloves to disintegrate, because you go back and spend more money with them. But if you look after your goalkeeping gloves, especially before you play a game, and dampen them, what will happen is if you moisten and wet and you dampen the palms before and while you play your games, two things will happen. First of all, that's what gives the grip, okay? Because believe it or not, a lot of goalkeepers, especially parents of goalkeepers, they don't realise they've got to dampen the palm, because that's actually what gives the grip. And also your goalkeeper gloves will actually last longer as well, okay? Yeah, because you dampen your gloves. So the first thing is, if you're saying the goalkeeping gloves are disintegrating, I'm just wondering if because if you go onto an artificial pitch, especially when the sun is shining, your gloves will 100% disintegrate on you, okay? Yeah, you've got to make sure that you dampen your gloves, okay? So there's a tip there, okay, for any goalkeeper or parents. If you're not wet or dampening your glove before a game or training, okay, and keeping them damp while you play, it's something that you really must do. That's what gives the gloves the grip, and they'll actually last a lot longer as well. So again, so if you are doing that, Steve, it might be the case as well. So if you're doing everything right and your gloves are disintegrating, it might be the case is that you're actually, it sounds crazy, you might be actually spending too much for your goalkeeping gloves, okay? Because the more expensive a goalkeeping glove, normally the softer the palm. Now, a lot of mums, especially mums and dads, again, they make this mistake. I made the mistake, okay? A lot of actually goalkeepers make this mistake. They think the more expensive they pay for the goalkeeping gloves, the longer they last. That's actually not the case with goalkeeping gloves, because the more expensive you pay for a goalkeeping glove, okay, you'll get softer materials. Now, it will be a better goalkeeping glove, but what happens when you have softer materials? Obviously, it's going to be easily rip, easily tear. So if you're dampening your goalkeeping gloves, if you're spending too much money, that could be another reason why you're spending too much money, if that makes sense. Yeah. So just be careful with that one as well, because as I say, if you're wearing really soft materials in your goalkeeping glove on artificial grass, strong chances are they're just going to rip. Okay. So as soon as you put your hand down and you get to go up, good night Vienna, the gloves are going to rip. Now, what I would personally do for training, okay, yeah, for training situations, okay, I'd be wearing the cheapest goalkeeping gloves possible. Now, I know you can get goalkeeping gloves that are, say, hard ground goalkeeping gloves. That's I'd wear them for training situations. For training, it doesn't really matter. I'd be buying a cheap, about £20 to £25, about $30 to $35. That's what I'd be wearing as a glove if I was training on artificial grass, artificial pitch. Reason being is, say, normally the the glove is more durable, so it'll last longer as well. Again, because the palm's a bit thicker as well, it's less likely to tear. And also, if the glove does tear, I've only paid cheap for the goalkeeping gloves as well, because it doesn't matter how careful you are on artificial grass. You know what? It is like Russian roulette. You know, you could literally be on the pitch for 30 seconds. And your gloves can rip on artificial turf. So for me, I'd always be training. I'd be looking at the cheap training gloves, okay? And if they rip, obviously I'll still be gutted that they rip. But if they rip, you go, you know what? At least it's only £25 or $30 rather than £100 or $150, okay? So for training, that's what I would do, Steve. If I was playing a match situation, again, I still wouldn't go to the top level glove because, again, because of the problems I've said. What I would do if I was playing a game situation, I'd probably be spending £30 to maybe £35. That's about $45 on like a mid-range pair of goalkeeping gloves. So I would train with the cheap gloves, yeah, and I'd play the game with the mid-range goalkeeping gloves, yeah. And that way, then again, if whether I trained or whether I played, that the gloves ripped because of the artificial surface, yeah, I'll still be gutted that my gloves have been ripped, but at least I'm not ripping a £100 pair or a $150 pair of gloves, okay? That makes sense. And please trust me on this as well. The difference between, honestly, this is where people get conned, okay? The difference between wearing a £70 pair of gloves or a $100 pair of gloves and a £40 pair of gloves and a $50 pair of gloves, if that makes sense, the difference is nothing. I promise you, you're not even going to tell the difference unless you're playing at a really high level. You're not even going to tell the difference. So you could buy a pair of gloves for $100 on artificial, and even on normal pitches, never mind artificial pitches. If you were to buy a pair of gloves for $100, you would still get the same job for a pair that was $50 or $60. If you want to pay £70 for a pair of gloves, you would still get the same job for a pair of gloves that would do it for £40. Honestly, for that big the difference is. I've done other videos on paying. You should never ever pay more than £50 for your goalkeeping gloves. That's about $70 because the difference is. Again, look at my other videos. I'm not going to go into it now. Okay, so basically, as I say, it's like what I would do is, again, just to repeat, for my training, I would just use, as I say, a £25 pair, like $30 pair. For my match situations, I would go to the mid-range, and that way, then, as I say, I'm still having a really good goalkeeping glove at mid-range level. But as I say, if the gloves rip, obviously it's not going to cost a mortgage to get them replaced. Okay, so I hope that helps, Steve. Okay, but the main thing, I think, my gut feeling, if you're saying your goalkeeping gloves keep disintegrating, my gut feeling will be is you're not dampening them before the game, okay, yeah, and while the game plays, okay, yeah. So please make sure that you're dampening them. If you are dampening them, just make sure that you're not paying expensive for the gloves, because if it's a soft glove, okay, that's going to disintegrate. Try and find something in the middle. Where obviously what I've explained, especially training, just use a cheap pair for training, and maybe just go to mid-range. For your match pairs, you don't have to go for top of the range, especially on artificial grass, because that is just a recipe for disaster, because your gloves will disintegrate no matter how much you look after them on artificial surfaces, okay? So I hope that tip helped, okay? Again, any more questions, guys, just put it below. I'll drop me an email and I will obviously try my best to answer your questions. Have an amazing day or night, wherever you are, and thanks for the questions. Keep them coming in. All the best.